Hey, good people. This is Rocky with Rocky's Reality, the #1 podcast for unfiltered and unapologetic culture, entertainment, and relationships. Tap in live Thursdays, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as I chat with some of the dopest artists, celebrities, influencers, entrepreneurs, and more. Make sure to catch us live Thursdays, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Roku. See you soon. Hey. Welcome to Rocky's Reality. Thank you, Joe. Listen, come on, Joe. I appreciate you, Joe. I love you. Listen, y'all better get y'all, Joe. Y'all better get y'all one of these, okay? Well, what up, though, everyone? I am here and honored, and y'all will probably see I'm rocking my Detroit gear because I'm a proud D girl, and I'm excited to have a fellow Detroiter, fellow D boy who's really just gone global with what he's doing. And as you all know, I love to always highlight those of us from Detroit who are doing big things and just highlighting those who are good human beings who are making the world a better place. So it's so cold in the D. I don't know where you all are watching from, but I hope y'all a little bit warm. What was it, Joe? It was like 10 degrees. It was like 10 degrees. Joe texted me earlier. He said, "You coming into the studio?" I said, "Yes, I'm still going trud through the tundra to bring my ass into this studio because that's when you do when you committed to the cause." But another person who is committed to the cause is my guest, New York Times best-selling author, resilience expert, father, motivational speaker, and just so many things. And again, I say a good human, Shaka Senghor. Welcome to the show, Shaka.
Yo, what up, though?
What up, though? I'm loving that Pistons hat. Let's go.
Yeah, normally I have on my just D hat or my own brand hat, but I felt like rocking the Pistons today because they rocking right now.
Yeah, listen, they going.
Yeah.
They #1 in the East, right? #1, they still #1 in the East?
They should be. I think so.
I love it. We got some good I actually heard, I think, even though I'm not a Stephen A. Smith fan, he said something favorable about us the other day. He said that he sees the Pistons going to the championship this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're very competitive. I think we might be one trade away from making that leap. That's a big leap to make, but I think they're going to be super competitive in the playoffs. And I think if they stay healthy, we got a strong opportunity. Cade is balling. The whole squad is balling. Cade is special. Cade is a different animal to watch him. And of course, Isaiah Stewart is balling out. He's a big supporter of 313. So love to see those young brothers ball. I actually just saw them. I was actually out here in LA and went to a game when they was in town. So I got a chance to watch them up close and personal, and they rocking right now.
I love it. I love to hear that, especially since the Lions let us down, Lord Jesus.
Yeah, don't bring that up.
Yeah, I know. So I love sometimes looking at your page when you come with your predictions, Shaka, because you be on point with it. I'm like, damn. So, Shaka, what is it like living out in Cali? Being from the D, please share with us. What's the tip right now? It got to be a little warmer.
Oh man, it's wild because we just coming out of the rainy season, and honestly, the weather is unbelievable today. It's been like one of them stretches where it was like 80 today. The thing is, like, it's going to get really dark fast, so it's like 4 o'clock right now. It's probably about 77. Beautiful day out here. But it's like I miss home. I truly do. Like anybody that knows me, like in my personal life, my friends, my family. As much as I love, living in LA and the work that I get a chance to do in a business, like my heart is always like in Detroit.
I love it. And I love how I was reading both your books. Well, no, actually the two main ones, because they're not both. You got way more than two.
I got three now. I got three.
Right,
I got yeah.
Right. So yeah, I said, let me correct that. The two I was read were Righting My Wrongs and How to Be Free. So
Oh wow, okay.
but I love how how you just incorporated the D all in there. I just love that, especially being a true D girl myself, how you were
Yeah.
naming the food, you were naming the streets. I was like, he put this all up in there. If people don't know
Yeah.
about Detroit, I'm loving. I said somebody over in Scandinavia is reading his book and learning about the D. So I love how you have incorporated that. What made you move to LA though? Besides, like, of course, just different opportunities, but what made you make the decision to transition from living here to LA?
That's a great question. You know, a lot of people always been curious about like why did he leave so shortly after he got out of prison? And the reality was I had to chase my dream. I had to go after and give myself a shot at pursuing something that I believed I was called to do as a writer. And you know, when I started writing, you know, many years ago, like 26 years ago, as of this month, I had a dream for myself, and that was to write across every type of platform and to try to figure out how to tell the kind of stories that I wanted to tell. And I felt like LA provided the greatest opportunity for me to do that. This was pre-Tubi era. This was pre, you know, streaming really getting as big and massive as it was. And you know, if you wanted to make it as a writer or producer or creator, like you had to go on that quest if you were able to do that. And
Mhm.
this was like, you know what? I want to see what happens. I want to get out here and figure it out. And you know, and it's wild because I got out here and did everything except for writing for TV and film.
Mm. Yet.
Well, I
Yet.
actually just wrote my first screenplay, so I
Yeah.
finally got to it. But I had to do a lot of other things to, you know, just figure out what it was I really wanted to do in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm saying yeah, because I can definitely see it because that was going to be one of my questions if writing my wrongs is going to become a movie. That's my vote right there. You might be working
Oh
on something
man,
new, but my vote is to turn
yeah,
writing my wrongs into a movie. Like, let me just say, as a writer,
yeah,
someone who's loved to read and write since I was a child, and someone who knows writing is so cathartic
mm,
and how you can reach so many people. And I really, there was times where a lot of what you were saying, even though I've never been incarcerated,
mm,
resonated with me as a writer of how you have to tell your story, how others with their words changed your life. Work
mm,
people don't know writers really change the world. We really do because
mm,
even with all the technology, it's somebody who's got to write it. Who's somebody got to write the manual. Somebody got to write the code. Somebody got to and just telling those stories and the way you told them, I was laughing, I was crying, I was shouting, I was
yeah,
mad as hell
yeah,
at some points. Like this is some bullshit.
yeah,
And for me, righting my wrongs would make I would hope if the story could be kept pure as possible, I think it would make
mm,
a great film. So that's
yeah.
just
No, I love that. And first of all, I just love that you really lean into reading my work. You know, as a writer, and especially a writer coming from Detroit, like it really means a lot when people from the hometown read my work. A lot of people from the hometown buy my work, but they don't always read it. They'll buy it and be like, "I had your book for all these years. I never read it, but I got it right." And I appreciate the love and all the
yeah,
things.
you're
But the
welcome.
thing that really is special is exactly what you said earlier, where you was like I saw those neighborhoods, that food, the culture of the city. Like that's probably like the one of the proudest parts of what I do is like I get a chance to really bring people into the world of Detroit and make people fans of the city and fall in love with it. And it's true what you say is like writers, we do give language to the world that we navigate. And you know, when I think about writing my wrongs, I'm personally not interested in it being a movie at this point in my life. I know other people are, and you know, I've had many opportunities to try to figure that up, and people couldn't quite get the story right in a way that really honored the experience. And I was like, you know, if we can't be authentic and true to you know what the story is, I don't want to tell that story. You know,
Yeah.
so that's been the holdup.
Yep, I agree, and that's why I said that. I said, "If it could be kept pure the way it is." That's
Absolutely,
exactly why I said
absolutely.
that because that for me, again, as a writer, it's like the books are always better than the movies or the
Yeah,
TV
yeah,
adaptation. It's like it always is better because it's so descriptive. So as I was reading it, and as somebody who I'm not too much younger than you, I'm 48, and
yeah.
I grew up in the crack era on the East Side,
Mm,
crack and Van Dyke area. I grew up watching crackheads walk up and down the street. I grew up watching drug dealers reaching to the lining of their trench coats. I saw a lot of this activity, and actually at one point lived next door to a crack house. So,
Mm,
but I also remember the beauty of what the city was like before it caved from it.
yeah.
So, what was that like, exposing that? And, was that like kind of triggering for you as you wrote about it?
Yeah,
And
it was really hard because it's like, to live in the city pre-crack era and know like the beauty and then also to know that I was lured into that culture that, contributed to the downfall of a lot of our neighborhoods and community. I also felt it was something that was really important to talk about because there's a big part of our community that has been impacted deeply by it. From your experience, you talk about living next to a house where crack is sold. Like that's devastating for a kid because it's nothing but chaos and disorder and dysfunction. And a thing that we don't talk about enough about is the impact that it had on parents during that era,
yeah,
and how many parents became addicted, and what that meant for the children growing up beneath them. And when you're a young kid in it and you're hustling and you're trying to survive and take care of yourself, you're not thinking about this large impact that is having because it was all new to all of us. And I think sometimes people forget that. People tend to glorify the streets without realizing that we were kids. A
yeah.
lot of us were
Yes,
kids.
a
We
lot of stuff
were,
we look back on, we didn't even realize how
yeah,
fucked up it was. Like, to be honest, because I say that casually. I grew up next door to a crack house because
yeah,
I became desensitized, and the blessing is I had a family who gave me a foundation. I was
mhm,
raised next door to my grandparents too. So my
yeah,
granddaddy, they were old school, so and they were Christians and they raised us right, so to speak. So in a sense, and I had a mother who was a hardworking mom. So I thank God that I had the family who still showed me what could be beyond that. But I do salute you for still highlighting and illuminating that that was part of your journey. That's how you ended up, because people don't really understand what happens to you as a child definitely affects you as an adult. And so when people, I love how you put the story out there to show them like, I wasn't just this ruthless drug dealing nigga who shot somebody. You have been traumatized. And so that projected onto what you did.
absolutely. And that's the part of it. Like, I've been so authentically true in my storytelling because I think so much of that part of the culture gets glorified, and people want to celebrate. Like, I do think it's important to honor those of us who survived and we made it and we're doing stuff positive and meaningful to impact community. But it was nothing glorious about that era. Yeah, we made money and we did the things, but that came with a lot of gun violence. It came with a lot of heartbreak, a lot of addiction, a lot of sleepless nights and hungry nights, and
Mhm.
it's just like a culture that I wanted to tell the truth. I didn't want to just talk about the hero side of it, but like, no, let's talk real. Like, this is a real life, and it was a real tragedy, and it's nothing I would have wished on anybody to go through. Especially
Mhm.
knowing what I know about it now. But I feel fortunate to have been able to come out on the other side of a lot of the painful experiences that I had in my life.
Yes, and I'm glad how you've articulated that. And I remember this one part you said, getting locked up like everyone else was imprisoned. Like your
Mhm.
whole family was. So now that you are free, how has your
Yeah.
freedom liberated others? Now you're liberating us.
It's so wild because when I started writing in prison, I had a very particular dream and thought about what I would do as a writer, and it was I'm going to write these books that was really like novels and fictions about the streets of Detroit, and I ended up writing real life, which I became really successful at. And it wasn't until the pandemic when I realized this calling that was on my life. Part of my mentoring work, all those things. I just felt like that's something I would do anyway. Is be there for young people in Detroit and advocate for them and do what I could to support them. But it was really through the pandemic when I started getting like really notable people reaching out, highly
Mhm,
successful people, highly accomplished people, and they were like, "Shaka, I don't know what to do with this isolation I'm feeling. How do
mm,
I help myself? How do I help my company? How do I help my other friends? Do you have some wisdom?" And it made me reflect on the experience I had when I wrote "Righting My Wrongs." People would come up to me, and Rocky, when I tell you,
Mm.
they would open up about everything.
Yep, telling you their whole life.
Addiction. I mean, addiction,
Yep.
suicidal ideation, infidelity in their relationships. You name it, people would just like literally sometimes trauma dump. But what I realized is that my work was creating an invitation that
Mhm.
people felt comfortable with me.
Yep.
They
Yep.
felt like I can share this with somebody who's sharing so much of himself with us.
Yep.
And that's when I realized that not only do I want to tell the stories, but I also want to give people a framework, some tools, and some life lessons that they can take with them. Like you don't have to just read my story. You can actually take these lessons and apply them to your life, and you can literally create the life that you want for yourself.
Yep. And so that's how what you're doing. So we can segue into how to be free. So if we can
Yeah.
bring that cover up right quick, How to Be Free, a proven guide to
Yeah.
escaping life's hidden prisons. And I love how you said hidden prisons because a lot of us are grieving, a lot of us are angry, a lot of us have shame and guilt, and we haven't verbalized it. But our
Absolutely.
behaviors are saying that. And as I was reading, I said, "Damn, he okay." You really you telling my story and a lot of people's story because a lot of us have grief. And who says to us, "Oh, have you been to grief counseling?" A lot of us, people died in the hood. Our friends have died. Our family has died. But do we go to grief counseling? No. We had a funeral. We had a repast, and bam, we get back to life. Do we ever
Right.
talk about the shame? And I really appreciate, especially that part where you talking about you had like that come to Jesus moment with your parents, and that's
Yeah.
something that all of us need to have like that cleansing moment, and it's like you had that realization. So talk about how you determined what were the prisons that people were keeping hidden. And like you said, it is
Mhm.
people who could be millionaires, and that's what is kind of an equalizer in a sense. Like all of us have experienced grief. All of us has been angry or felt less than or shameful or scared to be vulnerable. So talk about how you brought it together because I really like how you broke down these are the hidden prisons and this
Mhm.
is how you can break free of them. And I love how you gave tangible steps to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally exactly what you said, right? Where we exist sometime in a way that we just think about these things are normal, right? Like, especially you grow up in the hood, you see so much violence, at an early age, or you grow up in corporate America where it can be very cutthroat and is very misogynistic and all these different things, and you learn to just accept it that this is just the way
Mm,
it is.
yep.
And for me, it was like
Especially as a black
journaling.
person.
Yeah, journaling early on, I was like, all these things I accepted as normal. I was like, whoa, this is not normal. And for me, it was realizing that there's a hierarchy of like how imprisoned we are, right? So, like,
Mm,
you think about grief. I started the book with grief because it's one of the hardest things for us to get away from.
mm,
It is one of the hardest things because nobody can come and say to you, Rocky, you grieved long enough, get over it. That would be like mean and cruel. And so what happens is a lot of time because we don't have anywhere to place that energy, we just sit with it.
mm.
Like you say, we go to the repast, we go from the repast to the bar, we go
Oh,
from the bar to the bedroom, and then now
mm,
we're just in this cycle of avoiding the hard stuff because
mhm.
we're self-medicating.
Yep.
And once you get to a space where you're like, oh, I can actually create space for this, the grief, the anger, the shame. Shame is a difficult one because it basically what it ends up doing is like we mask the shame with anger.
Hmm. Yep.
In the book, when I went to my parents, I realized I was really angry with them because when I was a child, a neighbor of ours attempted to molest me, and as a result of that, I broke in his house. I was like,
Yep.
I wanted him to know that what he did wasn't okay. I didn't have the language for it. I
Yep.
wasn't big enough to beat him up, or I didn't feel safe to go to my parents, and because of that, I felt this anger toward them.
Yep.
That after I broke in his house and I got in trouble, it was like, okay, what do I do with this anger that I feel, And so what happened is once I started journaling about it, I was like, I need to tell them this. I need to share this with them. And to my parents' credit, they're so dope. In the sense that they held space for that.
Mm,
And we had real conversations. We had, I'm a dad, and I knew it was going to be difficult to have that conversation with my father.
Yeah.
And but I knew it was necessary. And so because he was able to hold space, we just had a real conversation, and the same thing with my mother. And what I'll say is like with parents is don't beat into your child the inability for them to come to you with anything.
Hmm.
Don't shut them down when something is bothering them before they have an opportunity to really share what's on their mind. And you just got to be intentional about, really opening up space for children to share anything. Like most of the harm that comes to children, whether it's molestation, whether it's getting seduced into the drug trade, whether it's getting enticed into doing drugs or alcohol, tobacco, like it comes up under the cloak of them not feeling like they can come to their parent. And that's how peer pressure really gets to kids is they don't feel safe enough to say, hey, my friends are saying I should do this. I don't feel comfortable, but I'm gonna come share with you so you can give me some tools. So,
Right. Yep.
when I wrote that, I was like, I
Yeah.
wanted people to be able to have some tools. I wanted them to be able to have, just some honest conversations with their loved ones and their friends. And like, I'm fortunate that even with my friends, like we talk about real stuff because we're all dads, we're
Mhm.
parents, and like, we got to talk about the real stuff.
Yeah, and it's a few things I want to touch on because as a parent of a 22-year-old and a 14-year-old,
Yeah,
I myself and my husband at times struggle making sure that we are making space and not just putting what we want to happen onto him. And I came across a meme today where it was saying we can't raise our kids the way our parents raised us because this is a different time frame.
absolutely.
And that's something as you become a parent and become mature, you realize you were human first. You was figuring it out as you go. And probably your parents realized like it was some stuff we could have done differently. But you didn't know they didn't know that at the time when they was raising you. And that's the crazy thing about parenting because you want to be this perfect parent. You want to be there for your kid, but then you realize it be sometimes you mess up. But you got to make space for that too, to let your parents, you know, make make those errors and to say to you, I made a mistake. I'm trying to
Yeah,
get better at that to my son, saying I made a mistake. I was wrong. Or if I find myself getting upset and yelling, I'm like, okay, let me bring it down and not yell. Cause I want him, especially as a black man, to be
yeah.
able to manage his emotions in a proper manner as well. So that's a big thing. And I really appreciate with your parents though, how and I love how you mended the relationship, but how did your relationship with your mom affect your relationship with women? Like your relationship with Saku's mom and just the women throughout your life, your wife? How did you like check some of those things to make sure that you weren't reverting back to what happened with your mom?
Yeah, that's a really good question. One of the things that I know is that great parenting requires greater grace,
Mm,
and the same thing for being a good, child. And for my with the way that my mother's and my relationship and my relationship like really contributed to how I navigate women is that I realized my mother's an individual. I have four incredible sisters. Tamika, Vanessa, Nakia, Shamika, and those beautiful women. I call them my four mamas
hmm,
because they've showed me what it means to be a woman.
hmm,
They showed me like just the difference between how I need to navigate them versus like I navigate my brothers.
hmm,
And I've seen the beauty of their strength. I've seen their vulnerability in our conversations, and because of my relationships with my sisters, I think it led to me having a different type of relationship with my mother. And what I mean by the greater grace is, my mother was 22 or 23 when she had me. She had her first kid when she was 16.
right. You were her fourth child. So she
Yeah,
was
I was her
already
fourth child. Yeah, she's a baby having babies. My dad
yeah,
was 23 or so. So they were
yeah,
really they
young
were
still.
babies. They were babies having babies, and
Right.
as an adult, I can look back and be like, of course they was going to screw it all up. What else could they have done?
Mm.
Um, but the grace is that they're present with, my curiosity, and asking them
Mm.
questions. And so, when I look at the role that the women in my life that I wasn't in romantic relationship played in how I navigate, romantic relationships, is we're all individuals. And there's not women are not monolithic any more than
Yeah.
men are.
Yeah.
I know these social media streets will have people thinking we're all the same. We're not.
Oh, okay. Exactly.
We're
Exactly.
not. Every woman
Nope.
comes with her own set of experiences. Every man comes with his own set of experiences. And, so I treat people like people. I start with that understanding that in all relationships, there's going to be some grace, there's going to be some discord, there's going to be some drama. And it's really about how you navigate that.
Mm.
I think thought evolved human beings recognize that no human being is monolithic. Black, white, male, female, like you name it, we're all come with our own stuff, right? And
Mhm.
you can even take people with the same thing. It doesn't mean that they're gonna come out the same. Like you can take two people who were raised with the exact same parents, the exact
Yeah.
same household, and they're gonna end up very different people
Yeah.
in life.
And they
And
remember
so,
events differently than you do.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I will say this: I don't think that I would see the world through that lens had I not went on my own healing journey. There was a lot of hurt from my relationship with both of my parents for different reasons. But because I went on my own healing journey, it allowed me to reassign responsibility where it should be reassigned, but also to be accountable and be
Mhm.
responsible to myself and
Yep.
realize that whatever life experience I had was really going to be a matter of my own choosing.
Yeah.
And so that's how those relationships
Mhm.
impact my other relationships.
I love the accountability. You have a lot of that, because we live in a society where someone's pointing the finger at somebody else.
Yeah,
And it's like you have to be accountable for if you crashing out, if you're responding in a certain way, we have to be accountable for that. But it's so easy to point at others. So I love that accountability, that you took, and especially in that moment where you wrote the letter to your brother's
mhm,
murderer. You said
yeah,
you didn't send it though, but
yeah,
you still wrote the letter because you said, and showing that, okay, I can forgive you, but that doesn't mean reconnection.
right,
And I think that's such
absolutely,
a huge, I want to say that's something I struggle with, like forgiveness. Cause it's like Jill Scott said recently, I can forget you before I forgive you. Shit. It's just, especially the older we get. So I
yeah.
really admire, can you talk about the emotions that you felt when, and by the way, my condolences on the loss of your brother and just so many people that we've lost. But
Yeah.
talk about some emotions that you had as you wrote that letter.
Yeah, that was a great question. I mean, it was devastating to our family. My younger brother Sherrod was murdered. It was devastating, and as most families like go through that devastation, and I had conflicted emotions. I was angry at the person who murdered him. I felt, I was grieving, but also felt guilt because I made somebody else's family feel like that, like I've caused somebody's death. And so there was this whole cocktail of emotions, as a result of that. And for me, being, therapeutic for me was is writing. And, when I thought about the young man, I didn't know him. He was my brother's friend. But he was one of those friends that came on the scene when I was incarcerated, so I didn't know this young man. And I was like, something really had to be really going on wrong in his life for him to kill somebody that he thought of as a friend,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
to not only kill my brother, but to leave my brother in a house. Because I mean, I've heard other cases where people mistakenly killed a friend or even acted out of anger, and in that moment was like, oh, let me call the police or ambulance. But that was just a coldness to that, and I'm like, what's wrong with what's happening to this
Mm.
person? And I thought about, myself. I wasn't who I was at 19. The young
Mm.
man that pulled that trigger. That was a different time in my life. It was a lot that had transpired that led me down that path, and it made me have empathy for him. Um, but at the same time, there still was the reality of like, let me focus on my family. Let
Right.
me focus on what I can do to support the ones who are still here. How do we show up, and how does this become hopefully a teachable lesson for other people who are navigating gun violence and thinking about, there's real consequences that come with that. And so it was a lot of emotions, still a lot of emotions. I think about my little brother all the time. I honor him in my work. I dedicate my work to him, and I knew that as tough as it would be to write about, that experience, it was one of the greatest ways that I can honor his memory and hopefully, help other people. And I actually, before this call, I got a message from a young lady, and she was just like, I'm reading one of your books, and it's the first book I reread. I was like, well, which book? And she was like, How to Be Free. And I was like, oh, wow, thank you so much. And then she just came back with this whole paragraph, was like, we just recently had a death in our family. And I went back and I read the grief chapter, and it's really helping me. And I'm like, when I was reading that, I immediately just thought about my brother, like, thank you, you're doing the work.
Yep.
You may not be here, but your spirit is still
Yep.
doing the work, and so that's how I really wanted to honor him and his contribution.
Right. Truly the definition of turning pain into purpose. That truly
Absolutely.
is. So I want to talk a little bit about one of my ultimate role models, Oprah.
Yeah.
What is Oprah like in person? Oprah looks like she smelled good. When you hugged her, did she smell good? Because listen.
Oprah, Oprah always smells good. She's like, the wild thing about that relationship is that Oprah and I actually have a real friendship.
I
Um,
love
I wrote down when I was in prison, I was like, I want her to read something that I wrote. And it was just part of my manifestation. It's like, if I'm gonna take this writing thing seriously, I need to set real goals for myself.
Mhm.
And one of those goals was to get Oprah to read one of my books. And so when it happened, I literally just thought, she would read the book. We did the interview. I would go on about life, never see her again. She would never see me. Oprah literally hit me up and was like, hey, I want you to have my number. We're going to be friends. And I was like, okay, cool. She says that to all her guests. And then I was talking to Ava DuVernay, and Ava DuVernay was like, Oprah does not bring on new friends. She was like, I'm going to just tell you, like, she's friendly. She's friendly. She's
Right.
gracious. She does not call a lot of people a friend
Okay.
just out of nowhere. And so over the years, it's been 10 years now. We've been rocking for 10 years.
So
We
consider
spent,
yourself lucky. Or Ava was like, "You. This is the golden circle here. Be
yeah. She's
right.
like, there's levels to this,
It's level to that. I can imagine.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's so funny, and the sweetest thing is that she's very genuine. Like she had a book that came out Tuesday, and I text her. I'm like, I don't even expect her to respond. I'm like, it's pub day. This book is out. You got you on all the things. I literally text her. I was like, congratulations on pub day, and she literally responded like right back. She's like, I'm
I
out here in
love
these pub streets, and so it's just like a genuine,
Right.
it's a
It's not
genuine
performative.
friendship.
I love
Yeah,
that. She's
yeah,
not
it's a genuine
performative. She is
friendship. Yeah.
genuinely a good person.
Yeah,
I
and
love
anytime her and I have a conversation, it's always just beautiful. It's dope, and I'll send her a voice memo. She'll send me voice memos. We be chopping it up. It's turning into something special. And I'll say this too: is like, the role that she has in the world
that.
is so tough. Anybody who's doing public facing work, it's so tough. Everybody wants you to be this person or that person, and nothing you can do will ever be enough because you're never going to be able
Yep.
to satisfy any and everybody.
Mhm.
And what I would say about her is that when you step back from whatever judgment you have about her, that woman has made more dreams come true than
Yeah.
anybody in the history of mankind.
Mhm.
Period. Full stop. I don't
Yep.
know any other human being that has made as many dreams come true as Oprah has
And
made.
has
Yeah,
inspired as many people.
yeah,
Besides
yeah.
Michael
So
Jackson, maybe. I don't know. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But
just
even in that, people are like, "Oh, she need to be doing more," and I'm like, "What are
y'all
you
not
talking about?"
satisfied.
Yeah,
Right. Not
yeah.
satisfied
She
because they
can
don't understand a
she
lot
can
of the
retire her
behind the
crown
scenes.
whenever she feel like it.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
that's how you know she is a paragon. She's a paragon because she really don't have to write any more books. She really don't have to do any more podcasts. So that lets you know that the crux of her work is really to make an impact. And
It
that's
is.
what
And
you've done.
she's super intentional about it. And like that's the coolest thing about it is like, you can get to that stage and be arrogant and cocky and blah
Right.
blah. When I
Yep.
tell you Oprah is so sweet in her vulnerability, like, her doing this book is like her doing her first book. She still shows up with that same sense of awe about life. And like that's a great example to live by that I think is something that's like because it's easy to start accomplishing things and start feeling yourself and start forgetting to be grateful and to be in the spirit of gratitude
Yep.
and to
Yep.
be, I have moments where I'm so amazed at my own life outcomes and not even the things that people would think, but more so about like my willingness to rise to the challenge
Yeah.
and the ability to just teach myself things I don't know. Like I'm in awe of that. And it keeps me really grounded.
I love that for you, and I love how you exhibit that, especially as a D-boy, Shaka, because that's part of my thing with us in Detroit, how everybody thinks they a celebrity. And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Yes, Detroit, we are the shit. We are the shit."
yeah,
However, we need to live humility. And I notice like A-list celebrities like Oprah, they be so humble in
yeah,
certain aspects. And that's the key there. You to know you are the shit, but you don't have to project it like that. Cause people
yeah.
it's gonna just emanate from you regardless.
Yeah,
So
and that
that's
usually comes with confidence, right? Is confidence kind of eradicates some of that arrogance,
yeah,
and but I also get it too, right? Like we come from a tough city where people have talked smack and they've dogpiled us and and then especially if you're like black and all y'all do is crime and blah blah and like we hustle with the best of them. We innovate, we're creative, we're always thinking out the box, but we're also like a warm people. Like we
yeah,
got a tough. Our city is tough. There's no doubt about that. It's a tough city, but it's also a warm city.
yeah,
Like you can walk into a store, a gas station, chop it up with somebody you ain't never seen before, and y'all besties in that 5 minutes y'all in line, and then y'all go along about y'all life. And I promise you see the person again, you'll swear it was like a family reunion of somebody who knew each other forever. There's a beauty in that, you know what I
yeah,
mean? And so, I love that Detroit be like, yo, we about this life on whatever level. But also think it's important to do the work, to do the hard work,
yep,
because it's a competitive world. And so what I
yeah,
always just try to tell the kids that I mentor is like, listen, yeah, feel yourself, be confident, be bold, but do the work because you
yep,
got to have the work to back it up. You know what I mean? Because
exactly, exactly.
life is going to test you, and that facade will get tore down if you ain't got nothing beneath it.
Right, right. I appreciate it. Did you say nothing but ether?
Now, I say if you don't have anything beneath it,
Beneath it. Okay.
yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah, yeah,
see, my next thing I want to talk about Nas right quick as we wrap it up, and that's why I was probably
yeah,
thinking you said Ether because I got
yeah,
Nas on my mind, which is one of my favorite MCs and your
yeah,
favorite MC.
absolutely.
And shout out to you for being on King's Disease too, with composure, and talk about how you crafted that and brought that together.
It's the craziest story. And it's like, first of all, shout out to Nas. It's like Nas is genuinely a real one. He appreciates art at a very high level. But the
Mhm.
backstory is I got this tattoo in 1994 at Michigan Reformatory after I heard Illmatic, and it's literally the worst tattoo ever.
Yeah, I remember you saying it
And
was looking kind
yeah,
of
it's,
yeah,
it's
it
wild.
was
It's
a little
wild. The
crude.
tattoo is terrible. But told a friend, that friend hit Nas up. Me and Nas ended up meeting at his house, a couple of times. The first time it was very chill. It was very like, what up, what up? You know how brothers do, But over time, I went to a couple of concerts. We chopped it up. One day we broke bread and we just hung out for like hours, just kicking it. And during the pandemic, well, before the pandemic, we actually ended up, this is a sidebar, his latest album with DJ Premier. I actually went to Queens, my first time going to Queens, New York. Me and Nas, we was actually at a dinner with some friends. He was like, yo, what you getting into later on? I'm like, chill, I'm about to go back to my hotel. He's like, you want to roll to Queens with me? I literally roll to Queens with Nas, and we pull up. I don't even know where we're going. I'm just like, who's going? I'm not gonna
Listen,
say
let's
Nas,
go.
no Nas, whatever we're going, it's gonna be
Right.
good.
Let's go.
We ended up at the studio with DJ Premier. Crazy night. We talked. I listened to them tell stories all night. It was crazy. But long story short, during the pandemic, Nas he texted me one day and was like, yo, I got this song I'm working on. I would love for you to do something on it. He was like, don't rap, just but you can freestyle. And I remember just sitting in my office. I was here by myself, and I was like, this is the craziest shit ever. Like Nas asked me to do a song with him. And so I was like, okay, when do you need it? You know, he was like, I'm in the studio right now. So I literally was like, you know what? I'm about to do this right now. I don't know if it's gonna be perfect. I don't even know if it's gonna be good. But what I do know is if that man leave that studio, there's not
Without
gonna be a second invitation.
right
And I'm like, so
now.
I'm gonna get it done now, right? And so I literally
Yep.
did it. I did it on my voice memo. I still have my original voice memo on my phone. I did it, and I literally just sent it to him. And
Within that of that same day.
yeah, literally within an hour. Within an hour.
I love
So
it.
that piece that's on Composer, that is literally me. Just I freestyled that piece within an hour, sent it to him, and it was wild because I didn't know if I made the album because I didn't hear back from him. And
Right, right, right.
he got back to me. He was like, "Yo, this is poetry," and then that was it. And then I didn't hear from him for like months. And my second book was coming out, and I ended up when King's Disease 2 was dropping, I seen the album cover art and I was like, oh wow, this is crazy. Because it's literally the same color art as my second book. And
Mm.
he hadn't even seen my second book, and I hadn't seen the album cover. And I hit him up. I was like, bro, this is crazy. You ain't gonna believe this. Our colors lined up. That's divine energy, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, man, it's so dope. He's like, I can't wait till you hear our song. And I was like, holy shit. I was like,
Right,
yo,
let's go, let's
that's
go.
crazy, right? So like right before it came out, my guy who introduced us, he called me hyped up. He was like, yo, bro, listen to this. And he playing it over the phone. I was like, this
Man.
is wild. Like it's crazy. And then when the album came out, my wife, she was, my we were dating back then. And I remember us just being on FaceTime listening to it and looking at the lyrics. And then at the end, I remember he literally was like, say your name after the piece. And I'm like, when I heard that, I was like, that's
Man,
crazy. And
yeah.
that album dropped. When I tell you, like,
I
people
love
reach
it.
out to me, like my own family, who I'd be like, yo, post about my book. They don't post nothing about my book. That album came out, they was blowing
Listen,
my page up with knowledge.
no.
You know what
I
I mean?
mean
So
I mean, it's Nas, and like you
yeah,
said, how
yeah,
dramatic what it meant for you, that took me back to my freshman year of college. Listen,
crazy.
that is definitely one of the greatest hip hop albums ever. If there's
Absolutely.
I know it's on a list. It's gotta be on the list.
Oh, it's the #1 hip hop
Start to
album for
start to
sure.
finish. Start to
Yeah,
finish.
yeah,
So
yeah,
as I'm gonna wrap it up, Shaka, and I really appreciate your time.
yeah,
Right
for
quick
sure.
as we're wrapping it up, tell people where they can find the latest book and your other books. Your latest book is How to Be Free.
Yeah. And you
Okay.
can find How
And
to
of
Be
course,
Free. If you in the D, there's multiple bookstores, Source Bookseller, Pages. You can go to the Barnes and Noble in Allen Park. But anywhere fine books are sold, you should be able to find it. And if they don't got it, tell them to get it. The Audible is Audible is available, so you can grab that, and or you just go to my website and it'll direct you to different options to buy it. But this is super fun. We got to do this more. I know it took a long time, Rocky. I appreciate your persistence.
no, I
As a fellow Detroiter and somebody who's like creating and figuring it out, it's so important for me to really figure out ways to collaborate with people.
absolutely.
Obviously their work definitely has to rise to a certain threshold for me to like be like, okay, I want to spend an hour of my time with someone.
I appreciate
And you are literally an incredible interviewer. You're a great hostess,
thank you.
and your resilience and persistence in being like, let's make it happen. And this is super special. I really want to say this. Never once did you try to be like, yo, I tried to reach out to Shaka. He didn't, jump on the interview. It's been a year, it's been 2 years, it's been however years. You always just checked in, let me know when you're available. And that really is important in the world of business. I can't emphasize that enough. Sometimes we feel super entitled to people's time and their
Mm,
platform and their
yeah,
energy without
yeah,
consideration for their life.
yeah,
And sometimes when a person says not right now or no, we take that so personal and internalize it, and then we get very mean spirited. And
Mm.
you didn't show up like that. You just was like, "Hey, brother, when it works for you, let's make it happen." And I told you, I gave you my word. My word is my word. I'm gonna make it happen when I can. And the opportunity just presented itself, and I really have the time to do it. And so, thank you for your persistence, for your professionalism, and just for your platform. Like you doing it, you're telling
Thank
great
you.
stories. You're creating space for us to tell our stories. So, salute to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to say, I appreciate that because I was frustrated, but I said, listen, I'm a persevere, resilience. Listen, I was
Yeah,
born and raised on the east side, and that's what we're taught. You don't get it
yeah,
one time, you keep going. You fall
yeah,
8 times, you get back up 9. You just keep going. So I really appreciate that. And I've always admired what you've done, and I always want to highlight the greatness that comes from our city. So I really appreciate that. And
and that's a good point you made too about the fail time. Because I think if people realize how many times I failed at anything before I accomplished a thing, like
baby,
they would definitely check check themselves, because
baby.
you don't get to Oprah without failing a lot.
Listen, and people
Uh,
don't realize though failure is a part of success.
absolutely,
Because the times I done
absolutely,
fucked up or messed up, that's helped me to see what
yeah,
do I need to do differently? How do I need to approach this differently? And that's part of the keys. And like you said,
absolutely,
part of one of the characteristics of being resilience, being hopeful, being
yeah,
resourceful, and just
absolutely,
I appreciate it, Shaka. And
yeah,
I want to say this is not goodbye. This is just see you later. Please know I am a copy editor as well. So that next book,
yeah,
if you need an editor, but also, I do PR, and it's just I really hope we can collaborate in the future because I would love
absolutely,
to help continue, taking it to the next level. So and I love what you do with Saku.
yeah,
Um I love it. He's becoming a great young man, and I love how you
yeah.
are setting an example for and with him. So appreciate it. But I
Yeah.
just want to end with 5 favorites. I always want to end with 5 favorites.
Let's do it.
Okay, so I already know your favorite MC is Nas. We already know that.
Well,
We
it's a
know.
tie. It's a tie. It's Nas and Rakim as well.
Oh, the God MC. Let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
I love it. I know that was a moment when you met him. That was like, whew.
crazy.
Listen, I know. I
Yeah.
don't even want to get into it. We'll be here all night because same here. Because I used to write for Rolling Out, and I met him when I covered a show at Shane Park.
Wow.
And he was just the energy was just like
He's the
so
God. He's truly the God MC.
like magnificent. He's another
Yeah.
one who's just like he could really be an asshole, but he's not. He's just
Yeah.
so cool. So, but
Yeah.
anywho, back to the 5 favorites. Favorite food.
Favorite food. I would say steak or chicken. They're kind of tied up.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. And I love how you in your books how you really quoted a lot of great people. So this
Mm.
might be a tough one. Who is your favorite mentor?
My favorite mentor, I would say my guy Ben. I think Ben challenges me. Ben Horowitz. I think
Okay.
he challenges me the most intellectually,
Mm,
and yeah. So I've grown a lot as a result of our relationship.
okay. Okay. Favorite travel destination?
Ooh, that's a good one. So currently it's Detroit. Detroit is always great to come home. Outside of Detroit, I would say probably my favorite place that I've gone would be to Ghana. Uh,
Mm.
yeah, I had an incredible experience
Ooh.
there for like 13 days. It was like unbelievable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite sports team?
Oh, favorite sports team, Detroit Pistons. So basketball is like my first sport.
Okay.
I'm a big sports fan in general,
Mhm.
but I would say the Pistons is like my favorite sports team. But
Okay.
Detroit Tigers has my favorite sports apparel.
Huh.
I love
You
the
mean
D hat. The D hat is just
okay.
timeless.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
so cold. That old
yeah,
English D is
it's
so
classic. It's
cold. It's
yeah,
so cold.
yeah.
Okay, this might be a hard one. What was the favorite book you read? Because I know you've read
Mm.
thousands.
So favorite book. It's so tough because I have like all these algorithms of like what books meant in my life.
Okay.
Um, so I got to cheat on this one. Autobiography of Malcolm X is
Ooh.
probably one of my favorites.
Huh?
one of the most important would be Dope Fiend by Donald Goins.
Oh, yeah.
And then As a Man Think of has probably been the most critical change agent book in my life.
Okay. And I want to end this by highlighting the literary club that's happening in the Michigan Central. That's coming. Is that coming? Is it
That is
opening
coming.
next month? Are we
That is the
closing that
most
door?
surreal thing.
Right quick, tell the people what is that about?
So the Boys and Girls Club will be announcing a new club inside the Michigan Central train station. And there is a lounge inside that Boys and Girls Club called the Shaka Senghor Literary Lounge. You can take or donate books up at 313. Just go up there
Mm.
and drop a book off, your favorite book, gently used or brand new. Take it up to 313.
Age
And
group of books for teens or for whomever. Just what?
for teens and young adults. So think about what is a book that if you were 17 or 25, you would have hoped or wished somebody put in your hand, or a book that means a lot to you that somebody put in your hand.
Mhm.
And drop it off at 313 on Livernois, the Avenue of Fashion.
Yeah, yeah, and so the literary lounge is open, and so kids are gonna be able to come in. Are they gonna be able to buy books, check out books? What is it?
Oh, so the Literary Lounge is going to be just a space for kids who are part of the Boys and Girls Club to create, convene, to learn. Over the years, I'll be hosting stuff when I'm in town, conversations, talks, workshops. So it's just going to be a great place for young people to find themselves.
I love it, I love it.
Appreciate that, Jose.
I love Jose is my husband.
Yeah.
Shout out to my hubby Wash. He's "Imma make sure I watch." So shout out to my boo,
Hello,
who
King.
would love that Pistons cap, by the way. Love
Yeah,
it. He's a
yeah,
baseball cap fiend as well. So,
yeah.
but thank you, Shaka, again. Tell people where they can find you and support you and buy your books and all of that.
You can find me everywhere at Shaka Senghor on every platform. Easy breezy. Me at me under my name.
I love it. I love it. Thank
Yeah,
you again, Shaka, and I appreciate it. Yeah, it was definitely a while coming, but I realized that things all happen in their time, and
absolutely.
that's definitely been a testament of your life of how things happen in the time they're supposed to happen. So
Yeah,
again, I appreciate you, and I appreciate everyone for watching and tapping in. And
yeah.
Rock Reality, see you all soon again. Take care, Shaka.
Yeah. All right. Peace, sis.
Good night.
All right.